If you are staring at a graveyard of half-finished projects right now, I need you to lean in. Maybe it is a guitar gathering dust in the corner, a half-coded website that has been sitting in a tab for 3 months, a set of expensive baking tools you used exactly twice, and a sudden, inexplicable urge to go sign up for jiu-jitsu classes tomorrow morning. You probably feel a very specific, heavy type of shame. Society has a label for people like you. They call you a dilettante. They tell you that you are chaotic, that you lack the grit to specialize, or that you are simply undisciplined. You feel like an imposter because you cannot seem to pick one single lane and stay in it, while everyone else around you is passing milestones in their linear careers. You might even know the phrase jack of all trades, master of none, and you use it as a lash to beat yourself up every time you pivot. But you are forgetting the rest of the data. The full historical quote is, "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." I am Silas, and today we are looking at the hardware behind why your brain refuses to settle. You are not failing to specialize. You are running a high-resolution operating system in a world that was built for low-res, single-tasking machines. You are unconsciously building a rare cognitive architecture known as the M-shaped mind. While the world screams at you to focus, your biology is actually preparing you for a future where hyper-specialization is a terminal liability. You aren't broken. You are a sentinel intelligence, and your chaos is actually a sophisticated survival strategy. Before we decode the neurobiology of your curiosity, drop a comment and let me know which disparate hobbies you are currently juggling. To understand why you feel this crushing anxiety about your interests, we have to look at the lie you were sold by the industrial education complex. For the last century, the global economy was an I-shaped game. It rewarded the vertical pillar. It rewarded the person who dug one single hole a mile deep and never looked at the horizon. This worked because the world was what psychologists call a kind learning environment. Think of a game of golf or chess. The rules are static. The grass is always the same length. If you practice your swing for 10,000 hours, you win through sheer repetition. But you do not live in a kind environment anymore. Your nervous system instinctively senses that the modern world has shifted into a wicked environment. In a wicked environment, the rules change every hour. Trends move at the speed of fiber optics. In this landscape, the hyper-specialist is actually the most fragile person in the room. If their specific industry shifts or an algorithm replaces their one task, they are obsolete. They have no lateral mobility. Your brain, however, is naturally drifting because it is seeking cognitive redundancy. One year you are obsessed with electrical wiring and HVAC systems, and the next you are deep into yoga, heavy lifting, and mixing ambient electronic music. To an outsider, this looks like a lack of focus. To your internal logic, you are gathering high-fidelity data points from completely unrelated domains. This leads us to the first layer of your hardware, which is the phenomenon of far transfer. Most specialists rely on near transfer. They solve a problem using a tool they learned in the same field. It is predictable and limited, but your brain is wired for far transfer. This is the ability to take a mental model from a completely unrelated discipline and apply it to a current challenge. Consider the web developer who spent 3 years as a beekeeper. On a resume, those two things look like a mistake. But in reality, that developer understands organic systems, colony collapse, and resource distribution in a way a career coder never will. They aren't just writing lines of text, they are cultivating a digital ecosystem. They see patterns that the specialist is blind to, because the specialist only has one lens. Your value is not found in your depth in one area. It is found in your ability to synthesize. You are a bridge builder between worlds that don't even know the other exists yet. That brings us to the next layer of the data, which is the burden of high-fidelity sensory gating. Many of you feel overwhelmed by your interests because your brain doesn't filter out information the way a normal person's does. You have leaky sensory gating. While the average person can ignore the mechanics of how a door hinge works, you can't. You can't ignore the social engineering behind a marketing email. You see the guts of everything. This is why you jump from hobby to hobby. Your brain is a high-speed simulation engine that demands new data to stay calibrated. You aren't being distracted. You are conducting a wide-spectrum reconnaissance mission. You are scanning the environment for every possible tool because your internal locus of control demands that you be self-governing. You hate the idea of being dependent on a system you don't understand, so you learn a little bit of everything to ensure your own autonomy. But there is a deeper reason for the burnout you feel, and it involves the geometry of your potential. You aren't T-shaped, which is the corporate standard of having general knowledge in one specialty. You are M-shaped. An M-shaped mind has multiple pillars of deep expertise, connected by a bridge of insatiable curiosity. The struggle you face is that you try to build all the pillars of the M at the same time. You try to learn data science, write a novel, and master a martial art all in the same fiscal quarter. This causes your prefrontal cortex to redline and eventually collapse into analysis paralysis. The polymaths who actually win at this game understand the concept of serial mastery. You have to view your life in seasons rather than weeks. You might spend 5 years obsessing over mechanics and engineering. Then you pivot to philosophy and linguistics. You didn't quit engineering, you simply finished that season of construction. In the long arc of a 40-year career, those pillars eventually merge into a singular, uncopyable skill set that makes you a category of one. We also have to discuss the evolutionary biology of your behavior, specifically the concept of redundancy. In nature, redundancy is not a waste of space. It is the ultimate insurance policy. Look at elephants. They rarely get cancer because they have massive genetic redundancy, possessing multiple copies of tumor-suppressing genes. If one fails, another takes over. Your graveyard of hobbies is your cognitive redundancy. If you are a specialist software engineer and a new AI model takes your job, you are in a state of existential terror. But if you are a software engineer who also knows how to repair small engines, speak 3 languages, and navigate complex social hierarchies, you are unbreakable. You have been building a safety net of skills that ensures no matter what happens to the economy or the technological landscape, you have a pivot ready. You haven't been wasting time. You have been engaging in strategic adaptability. This brings us to the tactical defense of your mind. You need to stop explaining your pivots to people who are satisfied with being one-dimensional. To the flock, your movement looks like a lack of direction. To the wolf, it is a flanking maneuver. When people ask why you are starting something new again, do not give them a long-winded justification. That is your people-pleasing virus talking. Instead, adopt the mirror void. Give them a deadpan, neutral response. Tell them you are expanding your data set. Your silence is a boundary. You do not owe the world a linear narrative of your life. Your life is not a resume, it is a laboratory. You are the lead scientist, and you are allowed to change the experiment whenever the current one stops yielding useful data. The final insight is about the internal locus of identity. Most people derive their sense of self from their job title. Your sense of self is not anchored to a single point. It is the entire system that allows the points to exist. I am an accountant. I am a lawyer. When that title is taken away, they experience a total system failure. You, however, derive your identity from your ability to learn. Your core skill isn't the hobby itself, it is the process of acquisition. You are a professional learner. Once you realize that your specialty is the act of mastering new things, the shame of the half-finished project disappears. That project served its purpose. It gave you the mental model you needed, and then you moved on to the next. You aren't leaving things unfinished. You are harvesting the essential data and discarding the husk. So stop apologizing for your curiosity. Those weren't failures. They were semesters in a university of your own making. You were never meant to be a single-use tool. You were built to be a polymath, a sentinel, and a bridge between worlds. You are a member of the Kintsugi Club, where the cracks in your linear path are filled with the gold of diverse experience. If you are ready to embrace your M-shaped mind and stop asking for permission to be interested in the world, drop a shield emoji in the comments. It's time to protect your focus and lean into your complexity. You aren't scattered. You are just operating at a higher resolution than the room can handle. Stay observant. Stay rare. Silas out.